Hi everybody, welcome to Mental Health with Maliha, where I talk about different topics related to mental health. Today I'm going to talk about Ramadan and mental health. According to the World Health Organization, approximately 1 in 4 people struggle from a mental illness. And Muslims are no exception to this. We struggle from the same issues that everybody faces around the globe. Ramadan is a beautiful month of the Quran and self-reflection. Many Muslims abstain from certain things during this month. And for those of us who are struggling with a mental illness, this time can be especially tricky when we're trying to maintain our recovery. There was a study conducted in Morocco which showed that mood disorders such as bipolar disorder and depression are exacerbated due to fasting, while some Pakistani studies showed that there were improvements in depression and mania during Ramadan. There is also evidence that shows worsening of disordered eating during Ramadan. This can be very difficult for people who have eating disorders because fasting may trigger or exacerbate their eating disorder. People who struggle with social anxiety may find it difficult to keep up with the social and community gatherings in Ramadan, such as the iftars, Tarawih prayers, or other congregational prayers. Some of us may not be clinically diagnosed with a mental illness, but we still may struggle with maintaining our mental health during Ramadan. Let me know in the comment box below if you guys would like to learn more about mental illnesses. For some of us, when Ramadan comes around, it may be especially disheartening if we're not able to fast. And this goes for people who are not only struggling with a mental illness, but other issues that are keeping them from fasting. We may feel, well, what's the point if I'm not even able to fast? Or we may spend our time hiding that we're not fasting from other people. Know that there is hope. We often get so caught up in the idea of fasting that we forget that there is more to Ramadan than just fasting. We know that it's the month of the Quran and ultimately created for us to increase our awareness of Allah and reflect upon ourselves. And luckily for us, there's many ways to do that. Allah says that He created fasting to bring ease for us. And if we're not able to fast during Ramadan, He gives us options to still fulfill our religious obligation and feel like we're still partaking in Ramadan. In certain situations, it's permissible for us to not fast and instead feed a poor person. In any of these cases, make sure to check with your imam, your therapist, and your physician before you decide not to fast, or if you're making changes to your medication. It's very important to keep your treatment team involved. This is the best way to make sure that you're going to maintain your mental health during this time. Ramadan is a month of self-awareness and self-reflection, so you can use this time to start journaling or mentally noting certain things during your day. So I would say try to keep track of 3 things. Maybe something that went well in your day, something that didn't go so well, and then something you're grateful for. This will not only help you keep track of your triggers, but also help you identify things that you do enjoy and that bring you joy so that you can do more of them. You can even use what you come up with to make dua to Allah to help you cope with your triggers in a healthy way and help you recover from what you're going through. Use this time to let go of unhealthy habits. Many people who are struggling with issues related to alcohol and drugs are using to cope with what's going on deep inside. So take a step back and see, why is it that I gravitate towards a certain substance? From experience with my clients, I know that people use these substances sometimes to distract themselves from what's going on or help them deal with some of the hard times that they're facing. If you struggle with expressing your anger, take a step back and think about, why is it that the situation makes me so upset? This is not to shame anyone or blame anybody. It's really to look at things from a stance of curiosity. You'll be surprised at how much you can learn about yourself if you're just curious. Even if you can't fast during Ramadan, you can still give back to others. You can try volunteering at a food kitchen, a homeless shelter, or an animal shelter. Or if you don't do so already, you can also help your family out by preparing iftar. It's amazing how much helping others not only helps us feel better, but helps us increase our ajr. Rack up that sawab, y'all. During Ramadan, we are often invited to social gatherings where we may find people who are triggering for us or toxic. Limit your exposure to these people. This can be a little bit tricky because of the cultural norms that we have. But Allah does not ask us or force us to spend time with people who are triggering for us. He does not like it if we cut off family ties, but we can certainly set limits with these people by setting healthy boundaries with them. And I think I can create a whole different video for this topic especially. If you have social anxiety, it may be very difficult for you to spend time in large crowds or at parties with a lot of people. Challenge yourself in this month not to isolate. Mental illness definitely thrives in isolation. The more that we are alone, the worse it gets. So push yourself just a little bit in this month not to cut off from other people and spend some time with others. As family members or friends of people who are struggling with a mental illness, we may often feel lost as to how to help them. So why don't we go through some tips? The first step is to educate ourselves. How can we help someone or even ourselves if we don't know what's going on? A simple Google search can teach us a lot about the different types of mental illnesses. Spreading awareness through education is one of the ways that we can help eradicate the stigma that's surrounding mental illness in our community. One of the goals of my channel is to help do just that. I hope to empower people all across the globe to help develop a more positive and accepting view of mental illness so that people who are struggling can find the help that they need. Mental illness is already a taboo topic in our community, so people who are struggling are less likely to reach out for help or let someone know what's going on. On top of that, if we start shaming or blaming our loved ones for not fasting, it can make things even worse for them. If your loved one is struggling, understand that what they're going through is a real issue, and support is the best way that you can be there for them. Try asking them, is there anything that I can do to help you or make things easier for you? Offer to help them with their tasks. And if they say no, be understanding of that. Maybe they're just not ready to accept your help just yet. Meet them where they are. Pay attention to what their triggers are. If changes in sleep, dehydration, or hunger affects them, then talk to them about it. Disruption in our food or dehydration can definitely make us feel more irritable or anxious. I know I definitely get hangry if I don't have my food on time. If your loved one is struggling with social anxiety and declines iftar invites, then try to be understanding of that. Every year for my birthday, I have lunch with my friends. A few years ago, on one of my birthdays, a friend of mine could not make it, and she was very close to me. I didn't understand what was going on, and later on, a few years later, actually 2 to 3 years later, I found out that she was struggling through depression, and that day she could not get herself out of bed. That was a great reminder for me to understand and be lenient on other people. And we're told by Allah to give our brothers or sisters excuses. So definitely keep that in mind. Lastly, if what your loved one is going through affects their daily functioning at school, work, or in relationships, it's definitely a sign that seeking help is long overdue. You can reach out for help or search different therapists in your area on psychologytoday.com or goodtherapy.com. These are just some of the websites. There's a lot of different resources out there nowadays, which is great. I want to end by saying that I'm definitely not claiming to be an Islamic scholar of any type. And the goal of this video is not to offend anyone's personal religious beliefs, but to help provide education for those who are struggling with a mental illness. It is to talk about how we can merge the realms of spirituality and health together, because spirituality is definitely a part of our mental health. It is not all of it, but it's definitely a part of it. If you found this video to be helpful, make sure to share, like, and subscribe for more videos like this one. See you in the next one.